Hello, everybody. My name's Tony Cardenas, and this is the Indy Real Estate Market Weekly Update. Today, I'm sitting here with Justin Griffith with Keller Williams, Shelley Walters with EXP, and Kyle Morris with FC Tucker. Hey, Kyle, how's it going today?
It's going great. We got a couple days of fall weather, but then we're back up into the 80s, so I like it. Long sleeves and blue jeans.
Exactly. What do you think, Justin?
Like the windows open, having the air conditioner off.
Yeah, that's
air.
the best. My windows are all open.
That's right, Shelley. You said that it's just kind of like cleaning all the crap out of the house. I love it. I love it when I can open up the windows and air out my house, quite honestly.
Yes,
I love
I know,
the fall
it's awesome.
weather. I'm ready for it. I'm actually ready to go down to Nashville, Indiana. My daughter and I go every year, so
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So, hey, the market looks like we got a few homes on the market this week.
Yeah.
I want to start off with the inventory, and then we'll talk about the market a little bit. So let's start off with Indianapolis. Let's jump over to Broad Ripple and what's happening in Broad Ripple in the last 7 days.
Last 7 days, we didn't have too many hit the market. 8 new listings, 3 of which are pending, and had 5 closings last week. Average price $353,000. Days on market are 16, so moving up a little bit in Broad Ripple.
That is.
23 total listings right now. Average price from $441.
What about Meridian Kessler?
Meridian Kessler, this market's still hot. This is like probably the hottest market I cover right now. But they had 7 new listings, 6 of which pended.
Wow.
Priced anywhere from $205,000 to $1.55 million. They have 21 total listings on the market right now at 58 days, and 6 closings last week. One of them was over ask price, and the other 5 were under.
Okay.
So that's kind of changing the little tone. Like it had been, mostly all over ask price or at list, but
Exactly.
We're getting under there now.
And then,
Bates Hendricks was extremely slow. We had 1 new listing at $230,000. We had no closings and no pending. So right now there is a total of 13 on the market. Average price at $300,000, and 62 days on the market.
Wow.
So that's went up quite a bit.
yeah.
Fountain Square, we had 5 new listings this week. Average price at $381,000. Leaving a total of 31 listings. 1 of those pended, and we had 1 closing. That was it in Fountain Square. So also,
What was the high in
slow.
Fountain Square and low again?
The high was $561,000. The low was $132,000.
And all of those areas have to do with whether or not they've been rehabbed or not.
Yes.
Those price differences are different than if you would get into some of the suburbs.
Yep. And I had a client that was actually recently looking in Fountain Square, and one of the things she was asking was like, is it safe to buy here now with, like having inventory, having the things slow down? Absolutely. Like when you see the cheap ones still selling, like the fixer-uppers, then people are still putting money in that community.
Absolutely.
That's like a good sign.
Well, when you're flipping, it's more of it's a different business model. You're looking at return on investment, and you're not going to sink your money into it unless it's there.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last one, I've been lumping the downtown together. So there was 22 new listings for a total of 175 right now, priced anywhere from $485 up to $2.25 million. Mm-hmm. We had 6 pendings of those 22 new listings and 4 closings at an average at $356. Days on market are 39.
That's moving up.
Yeah.
There's a ton of great condos. I know we've talked about this. There are a ton of great condos on the market in downtown Indy right now.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely just beautiful homes.
When's the last time you walked through, or anybody here on the podcast has walked through some condos in the Mass Avenue area? I mean, how hot is that area? It seems like there's not a lot for sale, like right on Mass Avenue, hardly.
No, there's not a lot of housing right around there, so it does go quickly
I meant condos
when it is.
too.
Well, even condos, we haven't had any new listings for months.
Yeah,
right on Mass Ave. So.
Yeah, but I just did it last week, and I mean, I have list agents reaching out. Where's your interest? So the things are just sitting on the market a little bit longer over there, but which is mind-boggling because they're absolutely amazing. I mean, some of the best places I've walked in probably 6 months. Yep. They're just that nice.
Okay, let's move over to Hamilton County with you, Kyle. What's going on in Noblesville?
So in Noblesville, we had 29 go on the market, anywhere from 140 to, interesting price, 999,000 and
really
500. So just because we just couldn't crest that $1 million mark, right? Because it's a blockage, right, in your mind.
Well, it's so funny you say that. Just real quick, I saw one listed at 1,002,000. last week.
Because they just wanted to crest it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting. But I mean, it's based off comps, right? You know, you do what you can do. Of those 29, 19 of them are still active. Only 10 of them pended actually last week. So, and for the record, you know, over the weekend when a lot of people are going to look at homes, it was a monsoon here. Yeah. You know, like I stopped past an open house on Sunday and, you know, there was a little bit slow traffic because it had literally poured all day. It was the first weekend of NFL football.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's, you know, we always talk about like situational awareness about what's going on in the world.
Westfield, 3.5 inches of rain, and Bridgewater closed. Still, some of them are closed, the golf courses. So,
yeah,
it was a lot.
Because we got so much.
So wait a minute. What was the total listings for Noblesville?
29.
How many sold?
10 of them. Okay. Right. Which is low, but
absolutely,
you know, it is what, I mean, it was actually low last week as well, but that was another one of those weeks. But there's 121 on the market. Days on market actually went down in Noblesville. It's down around 18. But I think that was when we were looking back at last week, there was a couple outliers that had pended that had been on the market for a very, very long time. And so it kind of offset the number because the 18 number is a little bit more in line with where we had been the previous couple weeks.
Okay.
In Fishers, 31 went on the market. 18 of them are still active. 13 of them pended. Wow, anywhere from 235 to 2.5 million, right? But there's 132 active, and average days on market is 19. And so we were talking about it. So in some of these areas, average days on market is ticking up a little bit. But I was looking, you know, just Fishers, Noblesville, we've been a steady state right here at 18, 19 for about 5 weeks now. So to me, I feel like this is kind of their new norm.
Right.
I mean, obviously, as we get into the winter, it'll change a little bit as well. Yeah. But I feel like we're more like steady state a little bit.
Okay. And to talk about Fishers for a minute, you started a website called Fishers.real estate. Am I correct?
That is correct.
So the real estate, the .real estate is the new connection.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, those not .com, .real estate.
Right, .real estate. Those are very, very expensive domains. I have a few myself.
Yeah.
But
yeah, check that out.
What is it again?
Fishers.real estate.
And Shelly, what is your website name?
It's easy. ShellyWaltersRealtyGroup.com.
Okay. And what is yours?
Mine's through FC Tucker, so it's FC Tucker / Kyle Morris. So,
okay. I just wondered. That just reminded me of the Fishers thing. What else you got there, Kyle?
That's all I got, other than, you know, just kind of talking about like the overall tone of the market and you know, some of the things we can get into after Shelly gives her numbers, because I know it's really interesting what we see out there.
Oh my gosh, the tone of the market. Wait until we get into this after Carmel, because of the conversation we had before the podcast.
Yeah. Right,
we're going to jump into that.
We don't get emotional about these things whatsoever.
No. Okay, yeah. So Shelly, let's get to Shelly. She's my favorite. Even though she just barked, even though she just barked at me a little bit ago, she is still my favorite.
Because we don't have any emotions, right?
I feel like I just heard that from my parents.
Let's get to Carmel.
Okay, so in Carmel, I slowed down a little bit. The past 7 days, we had 45 hit the market, but 50% did pen. 20 of them close to 50%.
I know, but that's a hot market for 50% of them pending.
Mm-hmm. And currently, we have a total of 120 active in Carmel, so that's down about 40. So inventory's slowly going down a little bit. Again, we talk it's probably seasonal.
Yeah, we're getting into the fall.
That's still a lot, but that is every price point. The days on market in Carmel is now around 25, so that's past 7 days on market stat. So that has ticked up too. Westfield, 21 hit the market, 10 of those pended. They have 160 on the market, so they still have good numbers, of staying the same as what it has been. But their days ticked up to 28 days on the market average. And then in Zionsville, 12 hit the market. Only 2 of those pended, and 46 are currently active in Zionsville, so a little lower. But 31 days on market in the past 7 days where Zionsville is. So between Carmel, Westfield, and Zionsville, days on market are starting to tick up a little bit. So we're still averaging around, a 1 month. Days on market, and that gets back to just where we were talking about price drops and stuff like that. That's an average now. So, price drops before 30 days is probably something you won't want to look at unless you've got strong feedback that you're too high.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I was looking. One of the things I was checking about was interesting. I was looking at the solds for the past 30 days, Carmel alone, just to kind of see something. And days on market, back in the day, we would always talk about it when you're listing that, your price matters on what you're going to get. So if you list it wrong, you're going to lose money.
Exactly.
And what's very interesting, in the past 30 days in Carmel, there were 128 homes that have sold, and it averaged out to literally 100% list to sale ratio. So they were pending and selling
Gotcha.
right at list, only if you average it.
Right.
If you looked at the actual breakdown, at about 7 days is when they started getting below list price. And before 7 days, they would get list or higher. Again, nothing like that $50,000 above list
Right.
that we were seeing before.
Yeah.
But we were seeing
Spring, summer, right?
yeah. So anyway, that's showing around that 7 day mark, you really do want to still list your house correctly
Yep.
so that you can potentially get a bidding war. After about 7 days, you're probably not going to get that. And it was showing in the stats. So I was just kind of wanted to take a peek at that.
Price and presentation matter.
Exactly.
And
you
options.
know,
Yeah.
that's right. And Justin and Kyle and of course you, Shelley, were talking about people paying way over list price on houses.
Yep.
Okay. And what should they do today? And what were you saying, Justin? What's a good common ground in today's market to maybe consider doing when you're buying a home?
I mean, like right now, the best thing is you have options. You have options for financing. You have options for houses. You can actually take your time, look at them, you know, get some.
You got a lot more
You
options.
have time. And then options, you know, we've been asking sellers to pay points, you know, and that's helping our financing. We're getting the rates down. It's
helping them sell the house.
Yeah, they're buying a house they're getting it under market price and they're getting discounted points from the seller, so they're getting their rate bought down. You know, it's like they could be in a better situation than they were last year.
And inspection concessions, right?
Yeah.
So, like, we were talking about it. We have a CEO of MyBor in here last week, and we are just kicking it around with her, Shelley Specchio. And, you know, it would kind of, like, as we were talking about, anticipate maybe a 5% adjustment this year, which is still 10% higher than last year, which was a record year. And everybody's like, what's wrong with the market? And as we were talking about, people were very willing to pony up over list last year, right? I don't want to say very willing, right?
Yeah,
Because
but
they did it
often.
begrudgingly. It happened more times than not. I would say probably on 85% of deals, quite honestly, at least $10,000 over list.
But that's the market in the past. But what were you talking about?
It is, but so here's the thing. So like they were very easy to consider that somewhat, where they're taking a big chunk of liquidity, but they've been
and appraisal gap coverages. And it's like you don't even have to do that anymore right now.
Right. And buyers are like, what's going on with the market when they have the best leverage ever? They could actually take a smaller amount of their money, buy down a rate to get a similar rate to last year or slightly above it or whatever, right? They still have, you know,
I don't know.
easily 20% more liquidity than they would have if they would have bought last year.
Yep.
Right? Probably could maybe even get it under list price with concessions.
And an inspection and repairs.
Oh my God. And
like,
time and options, right? Of like what you're looking at. And I don't have to do it in 2 hours after I look at it. Like you have all these benefits this year. And I just don't see buyers taking advantage of it. And then for sellers, it's like,
I don't think buyers are taking advantage of it because when they're buying a home, they have to have the real estate agent maybe direct them the right way to say, hey,
are. Yeah, 100%.
Here's what your options are. It's like you were talking about, you know, we're going to ask for XYZ from the sellers to help the buyers.
So it's interesting
to get a better rate.
So the buyers that are out there are having those conversations. I just don't think buyers are stepping even into it.
Yeah.
Ironically, we're not even getting to those conversations because even for sellers, they're like, well, we missed the market. You're still 10% above last year, which was a record year, right? So it's literally an ideal situation. It goes back to education. It's what we talk about every single week here. If you're a buyer, you are like so set. And if you're a seller, you are banking, you know? So it's just really odd that the education that's being put out there by media and things like that is just really not the pulse of the market.
I think also it's like mentally is like the rate. Like, you know, like we're getting close to 6%, which is double what it was like a year and a half ago, You know what I mean?
December.
And it's like
December,
that is a mental thing for
December,
people.
you're about 2.75, 2.625, depending on, you know,
So
where
that's
you're at.
9 months ago.
Yeah.
And so people are saying 9 months later, they're going, oh my gosh, it's just out of control. The rates are too high.
They're not.
So if we look at an average price of a sale of a house to give an idea of what we're talking about, let's just say somebody wanted to buy a house for $500,000. If we look at 6 to 8 months ago, well, now that we're 9 months into this market, let's just say if we look a year and a half ago when somebody was purchasing a house for $500,000, what did you normally see an offer be on that house? Like $575 at least.
At least 25
so
at the minimum.
Yeah, let's just say $50,000
$25,000 over. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
At least.
Okay.
So
at least.
So that's 10%. Let's just say we'll do $550,000. That was a standard offer and accepted price was, in a $500,000 house, we just got an offer and accepted at $550,000. So somebody just paid $50,000 more on that house than the list price was. So in today's market, let's put that $500,000 house back on the market and have today's scenario. Actually, let's back up. Last year at $500,000, you would pay $550,000. No inspection items were being requested. If you did, you'd have to be at least a $5,000 cap on that, and maybe you could have a roof or an HVAC repaired, and that's it. Right. And then on top of that, you had to pay a appraisal gap, and let's just say that house appraised at $510,000. Now you just paid $40,000 towards that house that it's not even worth. You were just told that, but you still were willing to do that. In today's market, Kyle, take over, because I know you just were really passionate about this. Yeah. But $500,000 house today, what kind of offer are you going to give me today on that house?
Well, it depends on if it's been on the market 7 days before.
Let's say
exactly.
Let's say it's been on the market after 7 days. So let's talk about that.
You got some wiggle room.
I'd probably offer $475,000. We'd probably end up like somewhere around $488,000, $490,000, right? And then you could use a whole, and you're like $60,000 under where you were last year for the same house, right? And
what did you ask me for?
I could use I could use seller concessions to buy my rate down. That's all dependent, like how far it goes down.
And that's what Justin was saying. Is that what you were saying, Justin?
Like all this other stuff, right? And people are like, "What's wrong with the market?" And I'm like, it's ideal. I don't know. What do you mean? It's ideal.
So we go to that. So Justin and Kyle, we were talking about this. So with the $500,000 house, Justin, if we had today's rate 5.9%, and you gave me an offer on that house, you just asked for the inspection items to be repaired. We have no appraisal gap issues. So we've just, all this money still sitting on the table. But then you ask the seller to help us. So explain to everybody out there what we're talking about now.
Well, now you could just buy the point down. So you can either have the seller, you can ask for this doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, but instead of getting a price drop, you can ask for seller concessions of 1 point, like where they're buying a discount point for your rate. So it's like you could end up at a rate like under 5 right now, or whatever, based on credit and all those other things.
Based on
we're not
credit
financial advisors or lenders, so
subject to what product you're looking at.
Or even that, they could do a point and you could do a point, and then you split the cost, you get it down even further. Like whatever you want to do.
And that number is what we were
way
talking
less
about.
Than $50,000.
Under $10,000 potentially to buy that rate down.
You just save like $30,000 minimum of liquidity out of your bank account, 401k, wherever it came from.
But what you guys were talking about, I think sellers have got to understand they got to give a little bit. But like you said earlier, you, Justin, and Shelley, the market is still up 10% or 15%. What did you say earlier?
So it's up 15%, but they were expecting a 5% decrease, right?
Right.
And so that's projecting.
And you're seeing some of that, aren't you, Justin?
Oh, it's like all the prices right now from what they were are going down. It's not a lot. I'm just saying this, like when we were looking at these numbers, like month over month, like you'll see that the ones that are closing are, within list price, 5 or 10,000, either above or under. Last year we didn't see that at all. It was like everything everywhere was over.
110%
you could list a turd, and it was.
Hello, we got a turd listing here, and wherever that may be at.
We call that potential.
Different market.
It's just really interesting because even when we've talked about price reduction, all these things, it's just really not. We have to quantify everything to people, but it's not. We give the information. I think people project of what that actually means. Exactly. It doesn't mean 40K under list. It may mean 5. It may mean 7.
It's all dependent on 2. When they bought the house, how much money they got into. It's like I'll pull up tax records, see how long they've held on to it, what they paid for it, and then you kind of know what kind of wiggle room they got.
Well, hey, buyers and sellers can always call you guys and ask these type of questions, because it is a different market to list or buy a home right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, the interest rates are up. They're going to go. They're going to climb. This is not coming from me. I'm a guy that reads the Barron's report every week and the Wall Street Journal every week. Okay, we are going to go into a higher rate market, and the economy is changing a little bit. It's not changing as drastically as they said it was going to, but it is changing. But the housing market is good. I mean, the unbelievable inventory that we have in the days on market are not bad.
No, and again, the word options for today is what we keep saying. There's options out there, and it's nothing bad. I mean, everybody just needs to stay positive in this market, and I think there's a lot of negativity out there, unfortunately, over perception
and national stats.
Yeah, and perception is one thing, but the true stats is what we're talking about today. We are not seeing any bad situation here. It's a normal situation, and there's a ton of options to take into this market.
Even with the seller, like the one thing that we haven't really touched on, maybe we can do next week, is I can sell your house and you can buy contingent now. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes,
like, and that
what a nice
you're not
option.
homeless or in an apartment or anything like that.
45 days post closing possession.
No, not getting any money for it or anything. Just
like I mean, as a seller, so okay, let's say you lose $10,000, but you don't have the carrying costs of getting a short-term rental and the storage and all these things, and you're not stressed, and you actually can then go look for a house,
and you're getting a deal.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, hey, I want to give a shout out before we get into the Carmel stats and everything. We already did the Carmel stats.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to ask one more thing about Carmel, but I want to give a shout out to Cohatch and Carmel. They're located on West Main Street here in Carmel, Indiana, 38 West Main Street. This is where we're doing the podcast today in the brand new Cohatch building in downtown Carmel. I wanted to give them a shout out.
It's beautiful.
Pretty nice.
It is beautiful. Yeah. They got offices available for lease. They have a co-working space. They have meeting rooms here.
How's the coffee?
The coffee is really good. I'm not kidding you. So call Mary at 317-315-2750. I wanted to give that little shout out there also. So let's get back. One thing about Carmel I wanted to ask you. Carmel days on market, I don't remember. How many days on market in Carmel?
Past 7 days, it was averaging 25.
And what was the high and low again?
Listed right now is 199 to 6.9.
199
to 6.9.
So we don't have any $1 million properties in Carmel right now for sale?
6.9 million.
Oh, 6.9.
Yeah.
Million.
Oh, we got
I just didn't spell it all out.
Maybe they want a point buy down. That'd be a little bit of change. Yeah, a little different buyer there.
But if you're in that range, you got the money.
Yeah.
Well, let me just tell you something. There's a lot of opportunity for buyers today to go FHA. You know, FHA rates are very good. I'm not going to go over the rates right now, but the lending requirement's a little easier. You only have to have 3.5% down. People can buy a nice $300 and some $1,000 home very easy on FHA. And people that are renting apartments right now, a lot of them go FHA, and FHA's got some great opportunities for first-time and second home and third-time home buyers. Okay, so
question about FHA. So do they still have it to where once you get to 80%, PMI does not fall off?
Well, what you have to do on FHA, and this is a little sticky. Remember when you have an FHA loan, okay, you got MIP on top of the loan, and you have MIP in the mortgage payment. Okay, so if I was at 80% loan to value, I would probably be refinancing my FHA and not trying to get my MIP removed.
Yeah.
Okay, because the top half of it's probably already gone. I would probably just refinance. I mean, you could do that, but remember, when you drop your MIP insurance, your payment doesn't change. It doesn't go down. It's just you get more going to it.
Yeah.
I would definitely refinance. In my world, I think that's the best thing to do for a homeowner because, you know, they could reduce it to a 20, they could go back on a 30, or they could go to a 15.
Yeah.
And that one of the things, Justin, with that question is I always tell any of my buyers that have done an FHA, so if you are out there right now and you have an FHA loan, reach out to the real estate agent you work with or one of us and see if, you know, we can do a quick market analysis and tell you if you're at 80% yet.
Yep.
Right. And exactly. You couldn't have said it any better. And then they can reach out to the podcast. We're going to have a number at the end of the podcast today if you guys are ready for this. Every one of your names will be on there, okay? I'm going to announce the number, and they can click the button, and it will call you right on your phone. But we're still going to ask you your information. So, Justin, if somebody want to get a hold of you, what company do you work for?
Keller Williams, Indy Metro, Northeast. However, I work everywhere in town.
I know. But you were saying about that last week, this Northeast thing, we need to have an acronym. Is that what you said?
I do. I feel like it needs to be Canua.
Quinny.
I'm just going to say Justin Griffith with Keller Williams. That's the easiest.
Perfectly
That's
fine
the
too.
easy way.
The very
Right.
easy. Yeah.
Because that means you can sell all over the world.
Yes, we have Keller Williams offices all over the
I know
world.
you do.
That's why we work there. Yeah.
Right. Shelley, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, what's the name of the company you work for first?
Well, I'm going to give Justin the opportunity to say his phone number.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My number is 317-507-5599. Catch me on fishers.realestate or customcontainerbuilders.com.
And that's Fishers.realestate because that's the new URL.
Yes, not .com.
I wonder when Shelley is going to get a .real estate and when Kyle's going to get a .real estate. But we'll talk
the
about
best one
that.
just got taken. Then what am I going to do now?
Well, you're right. The best one, a very good one did get taken. And somebody already owns Carmel.
I was going to say, I'm sure you have that one.
I have that one. Okay. Indy Metro Real Estate is available. No, it's not.
Are you like on the side?
He's
gig?
on GoDaddy all the time.
No, I probably have. I probably have at least 100. Okay, and I've actually resold one in my life that's paid
of anything.
Well, I do. Anyway, Shelley, how can they get a hold of you?
You can reach me on my cell phone anytime at 317-201-2601, and it's ShelleyWaltersRealtyGroup.com.
With what company?
EXP.
And Hashimoto, how do we get a hold of you?
It's Morris Property Group with FC Tucker and Carmel. My phone number is 317-649-5122. I'm very interested to see, because we put this number out there, if I'm going to get like prank phone calls from like high schoolers.
You're not going to get prank phone calls.
I actually hope I do. I would love it at like 1
You heard it
a.m.
here first.
Yeah. Bring it on.
What kind
Let's
of prank
go.
phone calls do you want?
The kind that I used to make when I was a kid.
Okay,
got
what
good
company do you
answers
work for? What's the company name?
Morris Property Group with FC Tucker.
FC Tucker. Is that FC Tucker? What city are you in?
My office is in Carmel, but I mean,
So can you only sell in Carmel?
come on now.
Tony,
Come
you're
on now.
just pushing it.
I know. Okay. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in this week. We appreciate everything, and we'll talk to you next week.
Holly here. Thank you for listening to the Indy Real Estate Market Weekly Podcast. Want to contact one of our weekly guest realtors on the show? Reach out to us at 317-480-4115. If you are located in Boone County or Hendricks County, we are looking for local agents to be on the show. Call us at 317-480-4115.